Hi everyone, good to see you. I see many of you already here. Letitia's here. Trevor, good to see you guys. Please excuse me for the sound, like I'm on vacation, so to say, so I couldn't manage to get it any better, but I hope that won't be a problem because, we're all going to make sure that we focus on the content today. But hi, good to see you guys. So excited to talk to you again. We always start 3 after the hour. So yeah, I was a little bit late. Just we'll probably start like 4 after the hour. So you don't have to worry. Don't have to, hurry. If you want to write something down, you can, but you don't have to because this is going to be, you can watch this on replay. And so this won't be a problem. If you have any questions, please write a Q in front of your comments so I know that it's all, that I know where to look at. So do you have like audio problems? I read something. So let me know. Yeah, let me know if the sound is okay besides the echo. The sound is okay. The video is okay, because that's always something we want to make sure before we start, because I really want to make sure that today is not just, of course we're talking about boot camp, it's the launch, everybody has questions, but I also want you to understand the concept of the 5 pillars, where it comes from, so you know why this is working so well for so many INFJs. Hundreds of INFJs have gone through boot camp, and so it's always something that is constantly evolving. We are a complete membership group, meaning, first it's lifetime access. So once you're a member, you're always a member. But the point is, like, people keep coming back. You're enrolled for every future round. And so I see people who've been with the bootcamp for years. I see newbies. I see people just, making amazing transformations and talking to each other. And so you just see, or I can see, like, everything that, all the progress that everybody's making, and the fact that people keep coming back is always like the best sign for me. Thank you for everybody who's giving me the feedback on the sound. That's awesome. Thank you. Okay, perfect. Okay, great. So yeah, I think we can slowly get everything going. Yeah. So what we're going to do is I want to give you a little bit of an overview what the bootcamp is about, how it all started, where did I take those lessons from? Because it's not like I woke up one day and said, oh yeah, this would make sense. Everything that we're doing here, that we talk about in bootcamp, that the 5 pillars are based on, you see the really up level structure in the poster of the 5 pillars. These are things that I've developed over the last 10 years, specifically for INFJ. So I've been here on YouTube as a life coach for INFJs for the last 10 years. I've worked with, a lot of people one-on-one. It's been hundreds of people and thousands through everything else. And there are just patterns. There are things that not only worked for me, but that really make the biggest shifts for INFJs, because we know mainstream motivation, the tactics, they're not the things that really make a difference for us, because we know what should work, but it's not what motivates us as INFJs. And so throughout the years, some things became really clear. And that is, let's do these things a certain way. They work for, INFJs, no matter what other differentiations everybody has. Because I'm not somebody who will tell you, oh, we're all INFJs, we're all the same. Every one of us has a unique, life experience, standpoint, strengths, weaknesses. But, the overall thing of, okay, how can I approach this? Where should I look? Because what we mainly do is let's figure out where you are and what you need. And this is why it's always called an INFJ Epic Life on Your Terms. So what we do is we skill every single one to be able to understand what their next step is. And so you have, empowerment, you have, you take control over the situation. So my goal with this is that you become more and more, autonomous, that it's like, okay, I want to be in boot camp because I love this community and I love the energy that it brings. And it like reminds me what to do again, but I feel like I'm the one at the steering wheel. So you as the INFJ. And so everything that we talk about, like, see, I already opened pillar 1, but that was not necessarily my intention. It's really getting you to a place where you are excited about life, where you're excited about starting the next day, where you're excited about where your life is going, that you feel you are tapping into your potential. Because I know firsthand how it feels like to know, okay, life is passing by. It sort of seems to be happening for everybody else, or they're not aware, or they just don't care. But it feels like I'm just in this strange world. I'm an alien to this, and it doesn't really work for me. And I'm here to tell you, not just from my personal experience, but as I said, through working with hundreds of INFJs, either one-on-one or through the group coaching of bootcamp, this will change 100%. Like, you really start looking at life differently. Today, I never feel like I'm not tapping into my potential. I never feel like life is passing by me, because I feel in control of it. And so that's why my life is moving in a certain direction. And we as INFJs, we're so used to, focusing on what can we do for others? How can we help others? And completely neglect this part of like, who am I? What do I want? We don't know that. That's the whole thing. We don't know what we want, and therefore we can't create anything like more of that. And so it sort of always feels like, yeah, I just don't care. But the thing is, we do care. We're just not aware of it. And once you start understanding what it is that you want, and you start taking actions towards it, you start feeling this excitement come up. And it's something that is positively addictive. And the 5 pillars are pretty much like the main areas that we as INFJs have to take steps in, and then through that create like this momentum. Because we as INFJs, we have to start with action first. Like, we have to gather energy first in, pillar 1, but then it's all about, let's take small steps into the right direction. And with every step we take, we're going to get new information into our system. And then we know what the next step is. But unlike other people who probably have to go more inside and have to meditate more and so on, for us, it really is the other way around. We have to start taking actions on things that we might think, yeah, I don't think I care about it so much, but if I cared, that's the step I would take. And then things get rolling. So I want to look if I have some questions I can answer already. Just a quick note. We have an early bird special for the people who aren't on the newsletter yet. Just so you know, if you there's a link below. If you join until Monday, you get $100 off the investment. And if you join within this hour, so while we're still here doing the masterclass, then you also enter to win one of 3 audio guides. Yeah. So we will let you know about those audio guides by Monday. So let me just see if I already have some questions I can address. It's gotten so warm here. For the ones of you who don't know, I live in Europe, so we don't have air conditioning everywhere because it didn't used to be hot all the time. So yeah, so it's once it gets hot, it's like the different thing. Okay, I see Natalie Frampton. Thank you so much. Like, I'm glad I could help. I really appreciate, all of you being here and all the support I'm getting. So thank you so much. Henrik, thanks, guys. So I'm really, really happy to see all of that. Okay. I don't see anything specific. Okay, perfect. Okay, so we're just going to get into the different pillars. Does anybody have, before we get here, Gail says, yeah, Japan here, hot and humid. Yeah, that's where I'm at right now. So do any of you, before we really get into, the content of the different pillars, does anybody of you have specific questions either about the concept, about bootcamp that you want to address now. So now is like the perfect time. We've been doing bootcamp. I think this is the 4th year. And we do it 4 times a year. And as I said, like once you're in it for life. So every single, like lifetime access, as long as the program is running, you're automatically enrolled into the next bootcamp. And yeah, this has been like working really, really well. Yeah, somebody says, how often do you run the bootcamp? We run it 4 times a year currently, which means like, you know, there's always like 6-7 week breaks, sometimes 5 week breaks. It really depends on how the timeline is. And so it runs for 6 weeks and then it's like 6 weeks off. And currently we have like the video calls are like at this time frame. So it's the same concept like now. It's a live stream. You can ask your questions via a chat, which I found is really, really good for INFJs because they don't have to be like on camera or anything like this, but they can still get their questions in, and we still have the communication. And the Facebook group is just optional. So, you know, we're all independent thinkers. Not everybody is for stuff like this. So this is definitely an option. And the other thing, like what I'm going to do in the next couple of months is probably going to run a survey to see if we're going to add additional time slots. Because it's exactly at this time right now. And of course, this doesn't work for everybody, but for now, this is the thing that works for most. Okay, let me see. So is there a limit for people for bootcamp? Like for now, we haven't really reached that, because the point is INFJs, like a lot of us, they, you know, some are really vocal, others are not. So currently there hasn't been a point where I felt, you know, people are not getting the benefit out of it because people are, you know, coming back and so on. Because it's like always, you know, some people join from previous boot camps, others don't. Then like there's always a mixture. So there's always a variety of people and it never feels overwhelming. So I've always kept it open if it's going to get to a place where I feel like, okay, I need to limit it for now. But for now, everything has been really great. I think that has also to do with the fact that, first off, we are INFJs, so we're all, you know, very caring for each other. It's a very safe space. And so it just makes sense. Like for now, it's good, but I always keep the option open if we get to a place where it gets too much, we're going to limit the admissions. Maybe now, but I don't, like, as I said, like for now, I'm okay with how it's going. Natalie, the price, it depends, like if you go for the payment plan or not. And then we also, as I said, have the early bird. So just check out the link that's below this video on the early bird. And then there's also a link, go directly to bootcamp, and you can see all options. So, yeah, Melinda's there. Okay, if I can't make the lives, are they recorded? Yes, everything is recorded. Look at me, like I'm sweating here. So everything is recorded. You can always rewatch them. And it's not just the live calls. So we have 6 live calls, but that's just one part of it. For every one of the pillars, I have created like 5 videos that go really in depth on the topics that are like, you just get them through bootcamp. There's no other way, because the topics that we talk about there really go like so specific. Those are things I cannot talk about in that sense on YouTube, like the general videos. It's just not, you know, it just doesn't make sense, and it's like too detailed. But you get like a lot of really hands-on stuff, and then we have like learning material that comes with it. And again, like we have the communication through the Facebook group. So yeah, so the recordings, you can rewatch them. Of course, we have it all there. Of course, only for the people who are in bootcamp. So this is a private thing, so nobody's going to see what you wrote or anything like this. Only the people in the bootcamp. And it is through YouTube, but it's unlisted, right? So it's the same concept, but only you are getting the link. And yeah, that's how we do it so far. Yeah, as I said, like the prices, please check, like the full price is $697, but again, there are many options. If you get the early bird, you get $100 off. There are different There's a different price if you do the payment plan. So just check it out. I think, as I said, you can just go through the link in the description where it says like the bootcamp, the early bird. Okay, the definition of bootcamp. What's the definition of bootcamp? So the bootcamp is like an intense time where we really work on ourselves. And the basis are the 5 pillars. That's pretty much, those are 5 pillars that I've developed throughout the last 10 years being here on YouTube, working with so many INFJs. And, I think we can start like a little bit of here. Like pillar 1 is all about creating as much physical energy for you as you possibly can. Because what we learn is that as INFJs, we cannot rely on others to really fulfill where we want to go. Very often we like to be the supporting role, and there's nothing wrong with that. But the point is, like, when you support other people, your own vision always takes the back burner. There is no way around it. And your own vision, the only person who knows what your own vision is you. And you probably are not even aware of it right now, but you can bring it up to the front so you are aware and so you want to take action, because there's a reason why we feel like life is happening outside of us, or there's something missing. You wouldn't be feeling like something is missing if there wasn't like some kind of block that's holding you back. That's just facts. And I've been in both situations. Like I've had like my decades where I felt this way and I thought, okay, that's just how I'm going to feel. And I know how it can be differently. And so in order to bring this vision forward, we have to be the one who take action. And we have to, I always say we are INFJs. We don't have to do all the things. We're never going to be workaholics. We're never going to be, people who can do like maybe ESTPs could, but we don't have to. So that's why I'm always saying we're INFJs. We don't have to do all the things. We just have to do the right things. And so we have to make sure that we bring ourselves to our best physical strength. And this is not just about like exercising and stuff like this. It's like it really starts with sleep, with mental decluttering, with like creating a vision for yourself, because then you gather as much physical energy as you possibly can, because you're going to need it to step out of that default mode. You're going to need it to step out of the rat race, right? I like an example I always love to give is, imagine like there's a cornfield and all your life you've gone down this one path. Just one second. You've gone down this one path. And so it's easy, like the path is flat. It's like no problem whatsoever. And now you want to create a new pathway. And guess what? It's going to be more difficult. Like you have to first, lay the corn flat. You have to like make the effort. This is going to require more energy than you normally need in order to keep your head above water. We're really great at surviving, like nobody says we're not, but it's about time we start thriving. So we need to gather as much energy and then really strategically say, okay, now I'm going to put that effort into relationship management, and like in these particular areas, I'm going to work on my wealth management. I'm going to work on my vocation. How am I going to self-actualize, like in a way where I feel like my voice is, is being shared with the world, and my voice doesn't mean that you have to necessarily verbally say something, but like your energy is getting out into the world and you're sharing that with people. One way or another. It doesn't have to be like on a big scale or anything like this, but this feeling of us, I want to connect through my world. I want people to be part of my world, like to create that kind of thing. And so, create this continuous like momentum of growth, and where you feel like, okay, my cup of energy is overflowing. I constantly have more energy to give. So I first make sure I'm good, and then I give to others. And then we also look at, pillar 5, which is priority management. So we recognize I am an INFJ. I have limited energetic resources. So I have to make sure that I, put the effort into the places that matter to me. I need to take more time out than most people. Like it's okay for me to have like 3-4 days where I don't talk to, a lot of people or barely anybody. Like that's for me, but I need to figure out what that is and how to get there. So those are the kind of things that the bootcamp is all about. So, Okay, what can I gain from bootcamp that I can't gain from your videos and audio guide? So it's really just a step further. It goes more into detail. There's no other way to say it. Like on the one hand, it goes more into detail because every single time, we're talking about one topic for 1 hour. That's not something you can get in the audio guide, and that's also not something you can get from the videos. And on top of that, you have the community. And having like INFJs there that you see are going through this with you, it just gets you in the right mindset. It really is like you're in this room and you absorb so much of that energy, and that really is a thing that just keeps motivating you. So that's the one thing. The other thing is it's another topic. So the audio guide of course helps you to develop like a formula with which you can step out of, a constant, you know, struggle of I'm doing the same thing over and over again. The audio guide really explains to you if you would do it completely by yourself, we're going to show you the minimized version. That's how you start taking the steps. And that's like, a huge thing. Like I'm really proud of the audio guide, and I think it's like a perfect stepping stone if you want to do like, the three, like you say, like I do the book, then I do the audio guide, or and then I do the boot camp, but it's not a necessary one, right? And so it really says like if you're doing this on your own, understand the concept, and that's how you would move, throughout that whole thing. Like check out the free poster on this. The boot camp is going like let's really look at where should I put that formula into action that we learn in the audio guide. So how am I going to apply this to my relationships? How am I going to apply this to to my wealth situation? And we're always looking at it from a perspective of, okay, where are you at right now? What can we do? How can we be of, support to make that happen? So it's like it all is connected. It all comes from one source, but it's just, it's more intense. It's a boot camp. It really is. Let's really put it all like out there. Let's make it happen. Let's let me allow myself to get absorbed by that energy and, steer me into the direction that I want to be in. So my whole thing is like my goal is not that you need the boot camp once you're like gone through it. My thing is really that you get more and more independent. This is not something where I want people to be, oh, if I'm not listening to Wences, then I'm going to not make it at all. It's about you like getting more and more confident that you already know what to do. And it's about like understanding, okay, I trust that you can listen to yourself, and let's just help you to, repeat that pattern over and over again. It's really a practice. It's showing up. It's proving to yourself, I care about this. And then seeing, seeing other like INFJs, like, oh, having like such great success stories, seeing other INFJs like struggling with similar things that you thought maybe only you struggle with. And then you see also solutions that have worked for so many. So there are so many aspects to this. And so the bootcamp is the longest running course of all of them. The audio guide is like something that I wanted everybody to have like at any moment. You can get it at any time because people, for bootcamp, you have to wait a little bit, and it's like, as I said, more intense. But there's a reason why we've been doing it for like, what is it, like four years probably already. Because it is so successful, because you see the success stories, because people just keep coming back. And that's why I'm such a fan. And I see so many like INFJs just are so happy with everything that the bootcamp is providing them. Yeah, so Jessica said, what info included that you don't talk about in your normal videos? There's no like possibility for me to go that deep. So let's say we go into vocation. Like we really talk about if you wanted to get your message out, like how are you going to do this? Do you really, there's more aspect to this. The one thing is you have to make sure that you define your own self-image. That's not something we can talk about in the videos so deeply, because the videos really have to be at a point I'm meeting people who may have just found out about INFJs. Maybe there are people who are a little bit more like they know a little bit more about the topic, but they're not like that deep. People who are in boot camp are like invested. So we really have the time to go deeper and understand, okay, like you understand the theory in the videos. And now let's say, how am I going to put this into action? And like when we talk about vocation, when I start sharing myself, what is not up for debate? As I said, like we always have to make sure, how do I want to be seen? And it's nothing anybody ever talks about when it comes to vocation, like your purpose. But for us INFJs, it's incredibly important because we share our gifts with people willingly. It's, our way of life. But that's where the problem is. We do this even if we have to, make ourselves small, dim our light in order not to hurt somebody else. How often did you want to help somebody and you said, well, I can't really show up as my biggest version because then they would, run away or anything like this. And, those things really get us into a lot of depressive situations. And so we first learn how to make sure that no matter what, if from now on you start sharing your gift one way or another, you're going to do this, like there are boundaries to this. Like I'm not going to, I'm not going to change my image for anybody else. Like there's parts of me that are not up for debate. I'm not going to change them if I talk to person A or person B. So that's one of the things. And then we talk about like archetypes, like how can you use archetypes in order to like really define that voice within you. And then, we talk about, okay, how do I want to share my gift? And so we look at the sweet spot. So it's a lot. It's not something I can explain in like 5 minutes, but it's just a lot deeper, a lot more. And I wouldn't even necessarily say in detail because it's like not just the big picture. It's really like hands-on. What are you going to do? When are you going to do it? We talk a lot about schedules. So we really make it very practical and we see like the real life results. So as I said, like we have like different options for people who say bootcamp is not for me yet. Like really check out the audio guide, check out the ebook. So there, and there is a reason why I have so many videos that are for free. Like I really want everybody to feel heard, that you feel that there's something there for you, and that that really helps you change your life in the direction you want. That's what the videos are for. So know that with that, I'm already sharing like my biggest passion. Like when I started doing this wasn't a business. This was something I was pumping money into because I just wanted to have this in my life. It added so much to my life. So how you feel, how I can help you be, like excited about your life. That's my main goal. And so like, just like as a side note, when I started, this community was really, what's the word? Like there was a lot of feeling like bad about oneself. Like there was self-pity going on. It was like, well, I am an INFJ. It's so good that I found this out. So I know I'm not the only one that is going through life thinking, I'm suffering. But I'm going to suffer, but at least I'm not alone. That's how the message was. And it was like, well, I am just this way. I'm just made to suffer. I help others. I'm a martyr. That's how the theme was. And I've just gone through a situation where I learned this isn't gonna get me anywhere. Like not only is this not good for me, but it's also not good for anybody else because I'm enabling people. And so then I said, no, I need to share a different approach to this. And thankfully the community has changed, but that's where it all comes from. So no matter how I can help you, at whatever step you are, how much you wanna want or can invest into this, there's always something for you there. We have free products, we have the ebook, we have the audio guide, and the bootcamp is really if you say, I do have the resources for this at this time, and I'm willing to make the investment for myself. And again, this doesn't have to be something that is never approachable, achievable for you. Just see it as okay, maybe I don't feel like I'm there yet, but let's make this a goal. And then you can see through the videos or whatever you take on, and it doesn't just have to be me, that you can of course make that happen. right? Despite economy, despite all of that, like you have the power to get your life to a place where you feel empowered, where you feel like things are going at ease, where you have enough to provide for yourself. And not just that, like you have the relationships, you have the meaning in your life that you're looking for. And all of that, like all of those things that I like just want to help everybody achieve, because this is the thing that I was missing in my life, and I know now it's like definitely achievable, and it just looks a little bit different than you would assume because we just don't have that many role models yet. Okay, so how do you execute plans? That's exactly what we talk about. Like that's one thing we really go in detail on in bootcamp. So if you think about the audio guide, for example, we talk about the formula, and in bootcamp we use that formula all the time. So we learn, how do I execute something? As an INFJ, I cannot take on too big of a plan. Like it will overwhelm me. Like I really have to get to a place where it's, I have to start small, because I know it's more important to like learn how to learn and to learn to be somebody who executes plans. Because once I've learned this, like I'm unstoppable. One of the examples we do in Pillar 1 is a lot of us talk about sleep, because it's one of the best ways to gather more energy. And a lot of people say, well, I don't sleep enough, I have FOMO, so fear of missing out. But I want to go to bed at 10, but I go to bed at 2 o'clock in the morning. Well, our first goal is not to be in bed by 10. Our first goal is to be in bed by 1:45, no matter what. And to say, well, if that's not possible, then we start smaller than this. Because what you learn is, once you're able to really get yourself to a place where you go to bed at 1:45, if before you always went to bed at like the latest 2 o'clock. Let's say you always like between 1 and 2, but it never gets later than 2 o'clock. Everybody has a limit like this. For some people, it's 9 o'clock in the morning, but there is always a limit. And once you get to yourself to a place where you learn, as an INFJ, how to like go to bed at 1:45, like it's the same thing as learning, then you can like really get there. Okay, 1:45, 1:30. And in the end, the goal is not to sacrifice everything and go to bed at 10. The point is to feel like, yeah, it's way easier to go to bed at 10 o'clock than it was before at 2, because first off, I had such an exciting day. I'm not afraid to missing anything out. Like I'm doing everything. And second of all, you've just learned how to change your identity. It's really about identity change and how that works for INFJs. And so it really isn't about like disciplining yourself so much. It's not about sacrifice. It's just about making things in such a way that it don't feel hard for you. And that is like tailor-made for us INFJs. And that's exactly how we learn to execute things. Like, so the main goal of the bootcamp, is really to learn how to execute, because we know the vision, how to execute, how to learn what we want, how to get to a place where you continuously know that if I take that step, I'm going to know then what the next step is, and to like get it to a place where, I can trust myself. Like I keep the promises I make to myself. I have success stories every single day. And again, I'm talking as somebody who wasn't like this, who is like this now. I'm talking as somebody who's worked with hundreds of INFJs who've been like this and aren't this now. So I know this is definitely like achievable, and like you can have it too. I honestly believe this. So that's why I'm such an advocate for the entire system. Let me see. Okay, hold on. Now this is more of a logistical question. So early bird, thanks for sending a newsletter. Okay. Okay, so like Jan, you must have, or Jan, you must have received an email today that the bootcamp is launched. Then you also received an email about this masterclass, hopefully. So in both of those emails, you've had the code. So it really says that. So if you open this, you will have the code. If you don't, if for some reason you didn't receive this, just write us an email, and we'll make sure to answer it as quickly as possible. We'll definitely do it today. if you write us now and you purchase later, you're also going to be part of the, you know, the draw here. So don't worry about that. But again, I don't want to voice it here. I don't want to voice the code in here without this. But we've sent out, like, you know, as I said, bootcamp is launched. Yesterday it was like 24 hours till launch. You know, a link for the masterclass. And so if you open the email and look a little bit further, there are definitely going to be the codes in there. So the Facebook group is only for bootcamp members, but again, it's not mandatory. Like, you don't need to be in the Facebook group in order to participate in things, because we have INFJs who do not want to be on Facebook, who don't want to be in that group environment. It's a great add-on, but it's not, you know, it's not something that is a requirement. But yes, the Facebook group is a very protected space. So I'm in there like all the time. We make sure that you know, we have a lot of INFJs in the group who also make sure that it's like a protective, like, and secure place. If people are, you know, stepping out of the norm in a way of, you know, not protecting anybody's boundaries or anything like this, like the smallest thing, we directly take care of it. So the Facebook group is one of those things that we make sure everybody feels safe in, and everybody feels protected. So it's very sheltered like this, and so it's only for people who are in the boot camp and who go through the process with everybody else. So, let's see. What else do we have here? So here we have another question. Is it typical for INFJs to be trapped in a hopeless romantic situation, addicted to the person, is like paralyzation on all other pillars? Any solution? So I know this firsthand. That was the main reason why I changed everything, is because I was addicted to a certain situation, a potential romantic partner that in the end, like, now looking back, had absolutely nothing to do with the fact of like what I thought that person was. And it had everything to do with the fact that it was like the perfect escape. There is a reason why so many INFJs have some kind of romantic relationships with people that live in another city, on another continent. Like, I remember talking about it in one of the videos, and then it was like somebody wrote underneath it, oh, so you used me as an example. I was like, no, I didn't. But guess what? Like, you know, look around. Like, people have been writing this forever. Like, you're not the one. I was in a long-term relationship with somebody who lived abroad. That situation was with somebody who didn't live in this country. So, you know, this is a common thing, and it's like the escape route, right? It's like we feel like our life will make sense once we're with that person. And on top of that, it's like, I don't have to participate in the real world. Like, I have like this fantasy bond, and every single time I think about this, it makes me feel good. Right? And so the point here is to say, I'm going to create a life that is more exciting than this. Because you can't just quit that. It's like, you've done this pathway that we talked about in the beginning so often. You've gone there in your mind every single time you get a dopamine hit, because we as INFJs are really great at creating emotions while thinking about it. So you've been there, you listen to a song, it just gets you into a vibe. You're there. And you start, like, there are things happening in our mind, and we're so good at this. But because we're so good at this, we neglect those things that are like boring, unromantic, and so on, that will actually create a more exciting life for us. So this thing won't sound that good, right? The reason why you're so addicted is because the alternative without that person is so pale, and we don't want to admit that to ourselves because we're so able to disassociate from it. But that's why it's like important to like really say, what if my real life never got any better? And so you look at, how do I like my, you know, my job? How do I like my friends? How do I like, you know, my life, how it is right now with everything? And so once you get to a place where it's like, I don't like it, but like, you know, but you accept it, like, that's, what if it never got any better? And you start really grieving like what could have been and so on, and you really accept the fact that this is your life right now. And if you want to make it better, you have to improve from the basis that is your life right now. And then when you start doing this, this escape over here doesn't seem so exciting anymore, because your life, your real life, goes from here to here. And so then you recognize, oh yeah, this makes me feel better than like that situation, but it doesn't make me feel better than that situation. And then I recognize, no, I want to add somebody to my life that is already exciting. And this is not just about like maintaining like one place of living. It really is about how you approach your life independent of who comes in or out of it. Like that there's a path for you. That's why we always talk about like, you have to use your force. We don't have like SE that's strongly developed, but we don't have to. We just have to like bring out as much as we possibly can, because we know the only person who can make that vision happen is me, because nobody can look into my mind. And then like when and if you add people to that, then it's only if in a way that adds to your like, to your happiness. Like, so you really not just only change people in your life, but you change dynamics with people in your life. So I've had friends who I'm still friends with, who have been like, known for school, and our dynamics have changed completely, because when we were, in college, I was always focusing on them. And it's not just because I'm a good person, but because like, I didn't understand that it was just easier for me, and I was getting something out of it, like a quick fix, but that wasn't permanent. Then like it was better than, and it was easier to actually start building something up for me. And so I create like a constant excitement for my life. And so now that I've done this, of course, our dynamic has changed because before the dynamic was always focused on me diminishing my energy in order to fit into her life. And that's what we work on here. And that's also, and this works in friendships, in relationships, and everything. But again, you're not the only one. We can definitely we can I think like most of us can understand where you're coming from, but trust me, it doesn't have to feel this way. And very often you'll see this. The best thing about like these situations, retrospectively looking at it, was your interpretation of it. So if this person feels like magical, but they're actually not really showing up, the magical part about all of this is what you're able to create. You're able to create those amazing emotions. You're able to create this, vision of that person that seems like so exciting. Yes, they give you information, but you're creating this. And so you see how much power you actually get. And, looking back at it, you understand that everything that was so great about that person, it was actually you. Because you're always seeing it through your lens, right? So that's, I hope that gives you some consolation, and trust me, you'll get through it, you get out of it. And for most of us, once you're through this, you will be thankful that it happened, because it really was the wake-up call that you needed in order to make the changes happen in your life. Okay, Ocho8, I see you. Thank you. Glad my material is helping you so much. Okay, so careful listeners, can INFJs oscillate? English is not my first language, but I know what you're talking about, between INFJ and ENFJ personality types. No, my opinion is they cannot. What I found is, and what my whole concept is, we should aim to be more ENFJs, we should aim to be more ESTPs, but what we actually become is a more balanced INFJ. You will still see everything through that NI lens. Like if you say, I'm going to expand my FE, and this is also part of my teachings, is yes, let's find more of a balance here, because the thing is, we very often go, let's say 70% introverted and 30% extrovert, or sometimes or 80-20 or 90-10 and stuff like this. And so when you put all your effort and all your energy into becoming an ENFJ, like saying, I'm going to express myself more, I'm going to take action, and all of that, we feel like we're going to betray who we are. But everything is still happening through that NI lens. So if you create more balance, the max, like you're still going to be somewhere at like 60-40 or 65-35. Like you're still going to be an INFJ. And if you spend a little bit more time with like ENFJs, you'll see like that's a whole different structure. Like you know, once I started like all of this, I was also in socionics a lot, and then you can really see the way decisions are made, the way ideas are gathered. Like it's really completely different. And so no, I don't think like that's going to happen. I do believe, however, we should aim to be more extroverted, because in the end it just means we are balanced. Because you know, going way too much into those introverted functions when we're introverts are the things that really get us into depressive modes. As it is with extroverts, once they go more into the extroverted things, they rather tend to get more aggressive or more self-harming or harming towards others. So creating a balance as much as possible is the healthiest thing for every type, if you ask me. Oh, Mark, thank you so much for the super chat. Let me just read what you wrote. Thanks so much for sharing what you've learned and hope to honed into existence with MBTI types. Being an INFJ is challenging, but finding your contact back in 2014 has helped me tremendously. Well, thank you, Mark. So you've been one of the OGs. Yeah, 2014 is when it all started. So it's been a huge journey for me as well, and I'm just so thankful for everybody that I've met through this. Hi, Linda. And yeah, and so I'm just really proud to be part of this community, because I see like not just what I'm teaching you, I see what's going on around me, not only what inspires me, but how you inspire each other, how you motivate each other, how you encourage each other, and that there is no like you know, we're just not the types to be jealous or anything like this, because we're all about, well, in the end, I want me to do my thing and I want you to do your thing. And I'm like not only happy for you doing your thing, but like I encourage it, because it just, you know, shows us we can all make all of this happen and create like the lives we all, you know we can have. So here, like a little bit like, oh, I just saw Batisha's message here. That was, I think, very helpful. So Batisha has been in bootcamp for like, I don't know, 1 or 2 years now. So yeah, just so as you hear it from a member, bootcamp provides specifics and some accountability. So you just, it's just a different approach. It's a different intensity, so to say. Like you're really, you know, in it. So let's see, what do we have here? Any more questions you want me to get into? As I said, I encourage, like, for you, please share your messages with each other. That is already amazing. I'm just going through if I can see anything. So I see all your comments like here, like Arian TB, thank you so much for giving me feedback that my videos are helpful. I really appreciate it. Okay, so this is, I think, something very important that we should talk about. It falls like, you know, more of the pillar 2 thing, but I'm going to lose the message if I jump. Do INFJs get so detached they forget how to keep friends? Can somebody tell me how to enjoy company, how not to be so drained? So the point is, why do you need those people around you? Like there is this social expectation of you should, you know, maintain certain friendships, you should meet people here and like be around people and all of that. Otherwise, you're just going to be out of the loop. But if you really go down that path that we're doing, you understand, well, I don't need that many interactions. Like I want to have those people in my life, but I probably want to have them at a psychological distance. And It's totally okay for me to not talk to people for 3 days. The point is like to get to a place where you say, when do I want to talk to somebody? Like really go do that. Like the thing that you're so like afraid of if I, I'm an INFJ, and if I really do what I want, then I will just like lose those friends. Well, then maybe those are not the friends for you. There may be friends for everybody else, but you need something else. You need friendships that allow you to have that kind of interaction that like makes you happy. You define the rules for you, and somebody else defines the rules for them. And if both of those rules match, that's when you have like a common thing. We very often like see like this is a typical thing INFJs do is like I'm going to forget what is actually the thing that I want because it's not socially acceptable, and I'm going to like do that company and so on. Like you're not supposed to, like if you get drained, it's not a matter of, oh, how can I learn not to get drained? It's a matter of, why do I feel I have to do things that make me drained just because like somebody told me to? Like my friends, they know me. I'm the first one to leave. I leave hours before everybody else. I was always the one who went home at a party. Like those are things that just by accident. Other things I learned rather late, but this was something I learned very quickly of, and I didn't understand why, but it was like I get drained so fast, like I'm gone. And so they know these things. And so I have friends who can deal with this, and I have people who used to be like I used to be friends with, that cannot deal with this, that need that constant interaction. But those are not people that are adding to your life. People are adding to your life who accept you for who you are, and you're somebody who needs a lot of alone space. You're not somebody who needs a lot of psychological distance, and from time to time you want to have like those intense things that fill you up. That's who you are, and you have the prerogative to be this way like every single other person has. And just because you're more rare doesn't make it more, makes it less acceptable or anything like this. Like you're the one who defines it. And you'll be surprised how many people actually will cater to that. It's just that we never think we have the right to even demand that. And those are things we learn in boot camp as well, to just be so self-aware of, well, that's who I am, that's what I want, and like how are you going to deal with this? And so we very often don't even make that an option because we have already judged ourselves and said what I want and what makes me feel good is not right. Right? And so that's how it all changes. And so you start to learn to first accept yourself, like yourself, take actions to actually like make more of that happen. And like it's all like you understand, oh, I'm actually good having that many or that little social interactions. Like that's good for me. Like I'm fine. And then you get so content with this, and then you say like, okay, how can I improve upon this, like in a way that adds more to my life? Like how can I make my relationships more exciting, or the interactions I have, or I want to see that friend that I haven't seen in 3 months, like let's call her up and see if she has time, that kind of thing. Let me see. I always see like from time to time like messages from people that are in boot camp, and then I think like, oh, this is like great to share, and then it like just jumps up so quickly, because the messages come rolling in, and then I lose it. I just wanted to add Brandon's message. Brandon, I'm sorry, I don't think I'm going to like find it. I'll look a little bit, but if I don't, please forgive me. So here. So, okay, Brennan says like Brennan is also, a boot camp alumni, so to say, a veteran, like we've been with us for a while. So one thing I can say is that the boot camp, that in the boot camp it becomes a lot more personal because we discuss personal examples from community members in the chat. It's not just general, it's more specific. Thank you. Yeah. So again, like just look out. There are a lot of people who are in the boot camp also in the chats, and then you have like not just my feedback, but theirs, and hopefully that can give you more of a, just more information so you can make the right decision for you. Like what is right for you. There's no like, you know, when it's time or if it's time and if this is the right approach for you. And I always say, like, if you feel the videos are like, you know, they have an impact on you, then, you know, chances are the boot camp will as well. There are people who have no connection to the boot, like to my material. Like, you know, my closest, some of my closest people, like, first off, they're not INFJs, but, you know, this is like, you know, you see if you've had like learning experience that were like aha moments for you and things shifted and made sense, and you feel like the more you get into it, the more it like happens, then guess what, the bootcamp will just intensify that. Yeah, so Varun says 60% alone time optimal level. Like every single one of us decides this for themselves. And this is also some of the things that we talk about, like, and we learn and practice, like actively practice in Pillar 2 to make that happen. Here, Emily says, Lisa Simpson is my favorite fictional INFJ. So this can also be like a great, like, you know, archetype that, you know, those are some of the things we talk about then in Pillar 4. You know, how to, like, if you have, like, see something where the energy really inspires you, let's emulate that. Like, what is really exciting about that? Because what you have to understand is, how I look at Lisa Simpson is completely different than how Emily looks at Lisa Simpson or anybody else, because it comes through your lens. So what you see in that person energy wise is an energy that, and you like that, it's an energy that you possess, otherwise you wouldn't recognize that in that person. So then it's like, how can I integrate that into the person that I want to be, and in a way where, again, it's not up for debate. That's just who I am, that's how I roll. And if people want my help, if they want to be in my world, if they want to you know, if they want to profit, like, you know, benefit from being around me, then this is something they have to respect, that this is how I show up. And if they can't, because it like clashes with their ego, then you just automatically drift apart. We very often as INFJs make those decisions for others. We say, the way I am is too much for that person, so I'm going to alter myself. And now what we learn is, this is who I am. If this is too much for that person, then they can leave. And what you recognize is that a lot of people that you thought couldn't handle it actually can. And if they can't, then they make the decision to leave. You're not making that decision for them. You're saying, this is who I am, this is part of reality. If you can't handle with like this part of reality, just remove yourself one way or another. And people always find something in their mind that will tell them, this is not for me. They're not even consciously thinking about it, but it's not on you to make those decisions for them. So I'm scrolling a little bit, looking for cues, because of course I can't like go through everything. That's what I'm saying. Like, if you have really questions that I can share or that you want me to share, you know. So, okay. So Carly says, how to get rid of all the bad energy we suck up all the time? Is there a special ritual? Well, when it comes to bootcamp, for example, we have different pillars where we approach this. My whole thing as like a general rule is, you cannot necessarily stop thinking about the pink elephant if you tell yourself, don't think about the pink elephant. What you have to do is say, I'm going to think about the yellow rabbit. So we actually start creating things that have good energy, that, like, you know, add something to our lives. And because of that, we start focusing more on this. So if you have, let's say, a day and that day is 95% negative and 5% good, and that those 5% are, you know, you drinking your coffee in the morning with, like, you know, your favorite coworker or something like this, then you're never going to get out of that by focusing on those 95% of your day, although that's the majority of it. What we actually have to do is we have to expand those 5 minutes. So it's like, how can I start working with my favorite coworker more? How can I create an atmosphere that makes me feel the way I feel when I do coffee? So the thing about meditation, for example, and again, this is like something we have, or I have like created a video on in Pillar 1. It's about learning that what you like, the place where you get to when you meditate, we want to expand that to the entire day. So if you have like, chaos all day, and then it's a meditation practice, so you learn how to quiet your mind. It's not about those 5 minutes or 10 minutes or however you do. It's about like learning that I have to practice this within this time, because my goal is actually to be at this, like, at this level, at this base point all day long. Like, not perfectly, but that's what we want to get to. Because, like, this is practice. Naturally, you're going to be drawn to the negative things because, it's a survival mechanism. You're looking for fear and so on. So if you start adding positive things to your life, you're much more likely to, forget about those things. So if you start working on creating the life that you want, if you start working on, adding positive things into your life, you just don't have mental, like, your mind will consciously focus on those positive things, and you will like spend less and less time in things that are draining you. And on top of that, you recognize that you create like this positive energy for you. That's, I don't know if you've been here since the beginning, but if you have something negative, for example, let's say an addiction to another person who's not good for you, and that adds benefit to your life one way or another, because it makes you feel alive, because your current life is just numb, so to say. Like, it's a typical thing INFJs feel. They feel numb. But when you start creating excitement for your life, your current life just gets more, like, it adds more to your life. It gives you more energy than that other thing. And so that's how we do it. And we learn in boot camp, and like, that's the basis of everything, is like, how can I actively create better? And so these things, like, step by step, remove themselves. One of the things we also talk about, this is also part of pillar 1, is like decluttering, because again, it's like, a reflection of all the clutter that is going on in your mind, that can help you to actually free up energy. So it's not just about how can I create more energy, but to understand, like, there's so much mental load on me through, people's problems that I take on, or, whatever it may be. And like, letting go of that, so I have actually enough bandwidth to make the things happen that I want. There are many ways to make that happen. It's about like learning how to continuously do this in a healthy way that doesn't make you feel like you have to discipline yourself, or that it's you have to like be like this, but where it becomes like totally normal. Like, it's no problem for me to brush my teeth twice a day. Like, that's just something I do. I don't need motivation for that. And so we want to get to a place where choosing your best life is like that. You don't need the motivation for it. It's not something where you have to, discipline yourself. It's just part of your identity. Right? Okay, so we are like after the hour has ended. So I'm sorry I couldn't get to all the questions. Again, if you have any technical questions or anything like this, write us at info@wences.com. You can join bootcamp until Saturday. We're not going to have late admissions. We never have late admissions. So join before the first live call. And again, you have access to the early bird until Monday. If you need anything, let me know. I thank you so much for your support, for supporting the others, and for being such a great community. And I hope I see many of you next Saturday in our first live call. Okay, guys, have a great weekend and an amazing week ahead. Bye.